Thank you for listening to this episode of Running Stronger. My name is Will France, and in this episode, I just talk about how training should be fun. I think we often forget that we do these things because it's entertaining or because it's fun or because we once loved this activity, and we just get way too focused on optimization. And I just talk about this for a little bit while doing some cleans. And if you would like to see some of the training that I'm doing, you're welcome to look on YouTube. It is not impressive, but it is what I was doing while recording this video, and I will put that link in the show notes. And if you'd rather just listen to it, I think I did, removed all of the clean noises, the bar slamming into pads, and you can just listen to me talk about how we should all have more fun in training. I think sometimes we get far too caught up in optimizing or perfecting training when there's no chance in hell of a person being a professional athlete, right? I have nothing really wrong with someone trying to get the most out of their time in the gym and trying to get some results a little quicker. But I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that this shit should be fun, and we should do this for reasons that are goals that we actually want to pursue. Like every time I see someone post something that's a little less than optimal, you have people talking about how it's shit for hypertrophy, or how the muscle angle is not at the perfect trajectory to get the best pull on it. And at the end of the day, I think sometimes we just need to do shit because we enjoy it. And one of the really good examples of that is Olympic lifts. I haven't been doing Olympic lifts very long. I was not a great athlete in high school. I didn't play football past 9th grade. And as a result, I just never really got exposed to them in any way that mattered. And a couple years ago, I started fucking around with them and figured out, oh, these are really fun, right? And as a result, I do them once or twice a week, depending on the training cycle and what I'm trying to achieve. And the thing is, you'll see a lot of people talk shit on Olympic lifts, and there is some good reason for that. They are hard, and they are hard not just because they're often heavy and there's big forces there, but they're also hard because they take a certain amount of finesse or skill to do well and to get any real benefit out of them. And as a result, there's probably, for most of us, we're probably not going to get a big hypertrophy stimulus out of an Olympic lift, almost certainly. And we're also very likely not going to get a very big power stimulus out of an Olympic lift until you've done it for a pretty long time. So if we're pinched on time, then you probably would be better off doing something like a box jump or a broad jump, or any kind of jumping work will take a lot less skill to start to make progress than trying to throw a really heavy bar into the air. That said, the benefit of Olympic lifts goes beyond just power generation. And I learned a lot of this from Will Vertel. Probably know, if you know who I am, you probably know who he is, because he's a lot better at this stuff than I am. But if you really want to hear shtick on this or read something about it, you should go to his stuff. And you can either buy his Haas weightlifting program or just listen to some of the stuff he talks about. But jumping is not the same stimulus because you're just providing force. You're not providing force on an external object and then immediately receiving for, or trying to absorb or redirect that force of that external object, right? So there's a pretty decent argument that, well, it is a different stimulus, and it could be a really relevant stimulus to people in certain sports. Not for me, as someone who mostly just runs and lifts and climbs. I'm very rarely throwing around some kind of external object. But if we're looking at something like a football player who is throwing around another human and then maybe absorbing force from another human, it could be an individual stimulus. But again, that's not really my work. If you want more detail on this, check out Will's stuff. But it's not just that it's a different stimulus than jumping. It's also that I think it's fucking fun, and it keeps training interesting for me. I have done a ton of squats, and even though I still do a bunch of back squats because I still find them interesting, if I were going to dedicate my entire training to like the hack squat and the pendulum squat, I would just get so fucking bored, right? And this would even be true if I were doing nothing but like back squats. If I have some power movement that I find challenging and can keep training interesting, it's really worth it for me because it means I don't get bored. I'm still incentivized to show up. I really didn't want to train today. I probably don't want to do the set of squats I have after this, but working on some of these Olympic lifts does give me some motivation to get better and get started and get moving. And if we have something like that in our program that not only provides some sort of stimulus, but also gets us out the fucking door, then I don't really see a problem with that, right? Like that's a pretty big benefit considering like the inertia, the initiation cost of training is often the biggest struggle. Most people do fine once they get to the gym, but getting to the fucking gym is the hard part. So if you have something that keeps training interesting, then it's really almost invaluable. Now, as someone who has some goals and some difficult goals and some goals that don't necessarily play to my strengths, not everything in my training can be something that I really enjoy, right? Like I need to do things that are hard, that help build up my weaknesses, even if I don't really want to do them. If I want to be training for a long time, then we need to shore up those problem areas. But some of the training you do, if not 80% of it, should be stuff you like to do. Because we're going to spend a shitload more time training than we will doing whatever event or testing mechanism we have, right? So unless you really enjoy spending every fucking day just slogging through workouts and slogging through training sessions that are boring as shit and don't really get you out the door, then we should probably enjoy our training at least as much as the final event. If you hate your training, but it's supporting an event, then we're gonna almost certainly burn out. So if we can figure out a way to keep training interesting and really push towards those targets, then you'll be in it for the long haul.